He ruled the greatest empire on earth. But Rome barely saw him. For the last decade of his reign, the emperor of Rome disappeared to a distant island and governed the world from behind stone walls and sealed letters. Senators spoke carefully. Friends became informants. Trials multiplied, and fear replaced loyalty. This is not the story of a mad tyrant. It is the story of a soldier who never wanted a crown, a ruler who withdrew from the world, and a government that learned what happens when power goes silent. His name was Tiberius, and Rome would never forget him. But his story doesn't begin in isolation. It begins with duty and resentment. Before he was emperor, Tiberius was a soldier, a disciplined commander, quiet, severe, brilliant in strategy but cold in manner. He had victories across the empire. He restored order in provinces others struggled to hold. He obeyed orders. He served Rome, but there was always a shadow over him. Augustus, the first emperor, the man who built the system Tiberius would inherit. Tiberius married into Augustus' family. He became his heir by adoption. But unlike Julius Caesar, unlike Augustus himself, Tiberius did not crave the spotlight. He avoided it. He commanded troops because it was required. He attended the Senate because duty demanded it. He carried power like a burden, not a trophy, and Rome noticed. Where Augustus smiled, Tiberius frowned. Where Augustus charmed, Tiberius inspected. Where Augustus seemed effortless, Tiberius looked uncomfortable. He would rule the empire, but he never seemed to belong to it. And then tragedy struck. Twice. Two people mattered deeply to Tiberius: his son, Drusus, and his nephew Germanicus. Rome's rising hero. Drusus died first. Germanicus followed. The empire mourned. But Tiberius reacted differently. He did not weep in public. He did not make dramatic speeches. He retreated further inward. And whispers began. Was the emperor cold? Or was he simply breaking? Where no one could see. What is known as this? After their deaths, Tiberius stopped trusting the world. With grief closing around him, Tiberius relied increasingly on one man: Lucius Aelius Sejanus, prefect of the Praetorian Guard. Sejanus was charming, energetic, always present. He said what Tiberius wanted to hear. He protected him from pressure. He filtered messages. He controlled movement around the emperor. Rome now had a gatekeeper, and Sejanus learned quickly that information was power. He isolated Tiberius from the Senate, from friends, from rivals. He investigated threats. He encouraged treason trials. Men disappeared. Whispers turned into fear. And the Senate discovered something terrifying. Power did not need to shout to control everything. Then Tiberius made a decision. That changed his reign forever. In 26 CE, Tiberius left Rome. Not for a campaign, not for a tour. He left permanently. He sailed south to the rocky island of Capri, and he never returned. No speeches, no grand farewell parade, just distance. From there, he ruled by letter. Orders arrived stamped with imperial authority, but the man behind them became harder to reach. Some said he was hiding. Some said he was paranoid. Some said he simply wanted peace. The truth was likely all three, because Capri was more than a retreat. It was defensible. It was quiet. It was far from plots. And it was a place where no one could force him to smile. Picture it. Sheer rock, cliffs dropping into the sea. Dark blue water crashing against stone. Wind echoing through quiet corridors of white-walled villas. Messengers arrive by boat, climbing steep steps to reach the emperor. They kneel. They read. They wait. And Tiberius listens, but does not reveal what he thinks. Letters return to Rome, carrying orders with no voice. Only ink. From Capri, Tiberius governed an empire of millions. Yet he walked alone at night, under oil lamps and open stars, while fear traveled faster than ships. Because when power grows distant, interpretation replaces certainty, and interpretation breeds terror. Back in Rome, Sejanus controlled access to the emperor. He expelled rivals, filed accusations, staged loyalty. Trials increased. Families whispered carefully at dinner. A raised eyebrow could become a case of treason. The Senate obeyed, because nothing was more dangerous than being noticed. And all the while, Sejanus waited, until finally, he reached for the throne itself. He moved against imperial relatives. He prepared alliances. He tightened his grip. Rome held its breath. And then everything reversed. Word arrived from Capri. An imperial order. Sejanus. Arrested. Executed. His allies. Purged. Fear did not disappear. It multiplied. Because now Rome understood. Even from a distant island, Tiberius still saw everything. And no one knew how much more he remembered. As the years passed, Tiberius grew older. Quieter. More withdrawn. He trusted few. Spoke to fewer. And watched as the next generation fought beneath him. His reputation darkened. Writers called him gloomy, cruel, paranoid. But even his critics admitted something else. He did not bankrupt Rome. He did not recklessly expand wars. He preserved the empire Augustus built. And when he died in 37 CE, he left Rome with a treasury overflowing, gold replaced by silence, prosperity replaced by fear. So who was Tiberius? A monster? A recluse? A survivor? Or simply a man crushed by an empire that demanded charm, performance, warmth, qualities he never possessed? History often remembers charisma as greatness. Tiberius reminds us that power can exist without it. He was disciplined, capable, intelligent, and profoundly alone. Which raises a final question. Is an empire truly strong if it can only be ruled by men who perform confidence, instead of those who quietly preserve it? Tiberius ruled Rome from the shadows. But the fear his silence created never disappeared, and the empire would soon discover what happens when power returns to center stage. Chaotic, brilliant, and explosive, because the next emperor would not rule quietly. If this story unsettled you, subscribe. The next chapter reveals what Rome became when silence finally broke.